This happened to me 2 years ago when I went to a harvest festival at a village farm on a school trip. At that time, I was in 9th grade. My class went to a large farm outside the city, the kind of farm that's filled with corn and pumpkins in October. It was supposed to be a fun day, just apple cider, walking through the grass and playing some games. But it turned into one of the scariest experiences of my life. We all arrived there around 10 a.m. The place was huge. A barn, open fields, scarecrows here and there to scare off birds, and there was even a petting zoo. The weather was windy, and the sky was covered with clouds, but no one paid much attention to it. About halfway through the trip, while we were strolling near a corn maze, a strong gust of wind blew my cap off. Without thinking, I ran after it. It was a stupid move. My cap went through some hay bales and ended up near an old barn. By the time I caught it, I had reached the back part of the farm. That area felt desolate. The ground was muddy, there was tall grass above, and behind the barn was an old, dilapidated shed. It looked like it hadn't been used in years. I was about to turn back when I heard a sound from inside. At first it sounded like rustling footsteps, as if someone was inside. Then a soft voice called out to me, "Hey, can you help me? My leg is broken. I need help." I stopped. It was definitely a woman's voice. Soft, almost pleading. I looked around. There was no one nearby. My group was completely out of sight. An old chain lock was holding the door shut. But when I went closer, it was already open. I hesitated a bit, then pushed the door open slightly. The shed was dim inside. Only a crooked wooden roof with cracks let in some light. The floor was covered with scattered hay, and in the middle, a woman was sitting. Her back was hunched, and she was hiding her face in her hands. I started worrying that she was really hurt. "Are you okay? Should I call someone?" But she shook her head, her face still covered. "No, please, help me. Come closer." There was something in her voice that didn't feel right. She was trying to sound weak. I waited a few seconds and said, "It'd be better if I called someone. I'll get my teacher." And then she slowly started lifting her head. What I saw, I'll never forget. Her skin was covered with large yellow pus-filled boils. Some had already burst, with pus and blood dripping down to her neck. Her eyes were huge, and she was smiling at me. There was dried blood at the corners of her lips. I stumbled back, trembling with fear. She reached out to grab me, but I didn't want to stay there for another second. I turned to run back, but before I could get out the door, she lunged forward. She grabbed my hand. In that 1 second, she felt incredibly fast and strong. Her fingers were ice cold, and her nails were long, broken, and dirty. She dug her nails into my skin. I felt a sharp pain, and blood started dripping from my hand. "Let me go! Let me go!" And the whole time she kept laughing. Not just a little. A loud, maniacal laugh that echoed through the shed like a nightmare. I kept screaming and she kept laughing as if she was enjoying it. Then, suddenly, she let go of my hand and just kept laughing. I ran toward the farm as fast as I could. I didn't care who saw me. I found my teacher. With a tear-streaked face and panting breath, I told them what happened. At first, they didn't believe me. But when they saw my hand, they did. They told me to take them to that woman. When we reached the shed, the door was wide open, but the woman was gone. The only thing inside was a pile of hay, and in one corner, a pile of children's clothes. Small jackets and tiny pairs of shoes. Shoes that a small child might wear to a pumpkin farm. The teacher called the farm staff, but they brushed it off, saying no one was supposed to be in that part of the farm and that maybe it was all just my imagination. But the marks and cuts on my hand told a different story. Nothing came of the investigation about the woman or the children's clothes. When I got home, my parents were terrified. They immediately took me to the hospital. The doctors cleaned my wound, gave me a tetanus shot, and some other vaccinations to make sure nothing went wrong. I couldn't sleep for days. Even today, there are faint marks on my arm where that woman dug her nails into me. And every October, when the weather gets cold and the wind starts blowing, I still hear that voice. Can you help me? I never went back to that farm, and I never will. This happened when I was in 7th grade. I've never told anyone the full story before because no one would believe me back then, and I still doubt anyone will. Our science teacher had organized a school trip for us. It was to a nature reserve about an hour away from our school. It was a place where people could go hiking. There were old ranger cabins and signs everywhere telling you about the animals that lived there. I thought it was going to be a relaxing day with friends. Around noon, we stopped at a clearing for lunch. I remember sitting on a thick tree trunk, joking around with some friends when my water bottle fell. It rolled down the hill. I thought I'd just run down quickly and grab it while the teacher was gathering the kids. I slipped away when no one was watching. While looking for it, I went quite far down. The ground was softer and covered with thick moss, and the trees were closer together. I saw my bottle near a fallen log. I went to pick it up. As I turned to head back, I noticed a man crouching on the ground, picking mushrooms. He was wearing an old flannel shirt and dirty cargo pants. He had a worn-out bag slung over his shoulder. I thought he was just a regular person out for a walk. I even thought he hadn't noticed me because his eyes were fixed on the colorful mushrooms. But then he asked, "Are you looking for something?" I stopped. His voice didn't sound threatening. It was just odd. I held up my bottle and said, "Not anymore. I found it." And that's when he turned to look at me. I swear, his smile wasn't right. It reached his eyes in a creepy way. "Does anyone know you're here?" His words made my blood run cold. "What?" I said. He stood up and started walking toward me. "Girls like you often get lost in these woods." I gave a nervous laugh. "Okay, that's a bit creepy." But he didn't laugh. He looked me up and down, then pointed deeper into the woods. "Want to see something cool?" I shook my head and stepped back. "No, thanks." This time he smiled even wider. "There's a tree back there. It's been struck by lightning 7 times. Some people believe if you press your ear to its bark, you can hear blood coming out of it." At that moment, my gut was screaming at me to run. I turned and started walking quickly back to where my friends were. My heart was pounding. And then I heard someone calling my name. Mikey, another student on the trip, was shouting for me. He must have noticed I wasn't with the group. I looked back, and the man had gone back to picking mushrooms, acting like he'd never seen me. My hands were sweaty, and I was terrified inside. How could a grown man talk like that to a little girl? Was he deliberately trying to scare me? He succeeded. When I reached my class and looked back one last time, he was gone. A few moments later, Mikey came panting out of the bushes and asked if I was okay. I told him everything and suggested I should tell our teacher about the man. I took my teacher to the spot where I'd seen him, but when we got there, there were no footprints. No man, no mushrooms, just silent trees and moss, and a heavy, eerie silence that made my soul tremble. My teacher thought it was probably just a camper or some weird guy pulling a prank. They told me to stick with the group from now on. That night, when I got home, I started searching online. I typed California Nature Reserve missing girls into the search bar, and I found some terrifying information. Over the past few years, 3 girls my age had died. The last death was in late 2000. All the girls had gone missing in or around that reserve. One of them, Lacey Garrison, looked so much like me that I got scared just seeing her picture. She had brown eyes and a yellow backpack, just like me. She vanished without a trace. I never went back to Pine Hollow, though sometimes that place still shows up in my dreams. I see that man from the woods. Want to see something cool? And in the dream, I follow him. Because in the dream, no one calls my name. I was in my junior year of high school. Our school had organized a trip to the State Botanical Garden. It was a chilly day, fresh air, and an easy way to skip boring lectures. I'm into photography, so I brought my camera to take some pictures for my portfolio. Our class was divided into small groups. Our teacher and a guide from the garden were telling us to stay close. I was walking a bit ahead of the others, stopping here and there to take pictures of different plants and flowers. About 30 minutes in, I found a secluded path lined with wisteria vines. It felt like I was in a dream. I was adjusting my lens, crouching to get a better angle, when I heard a man's voice behind me. "Nice camera," he said. I turned around and there was a man standing a few feet away. He looked about 33 or 34, maybe older. He was wearing a cap and black pants. His face looked like any ordinary guy's. When I saw a camera bag hanging on his chest, I thought maybe he was into photography too. "Thanks," I said, giving a slight smile. "Are you a photography student?" I nodded, saying, "Yeah, you could say that." He smiled. "You've got a sharp eye." I thanked him again and went back to my work, hoping the conversation was over. But then I heard the click of a camera. I thought he was probably taking pictures of the vines too. But then there were 3 or 4 quick clicks. My back was to him and something felt off. So I turned around quickly. His camera was pointed right at me, and he was taking my pictures. He didn't even try to hide it. For a few seconds, I froze. Then I protested. "Please, don't take my pictures." He didn't stop or apologize. He acted like it didn't matter that he was taking my photos without my permission. I said, "Don't take my pictures." He just kept smiling like it was no big deal. Then he walked away, just turned and wandered down the path like nothing had happened. I was shocked and scared by his careless behavior. Who does he think he is? But I didn't want to make a scene, so I ignored him. I thought he was just some weird creep. I took a few more pictures of the same spot and rejoined my group. But the whole time it kept bothering me that this guy had my picture. I kept telling myself it was probably harmless, so I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. About an hour later, when we were near the butterfly conservatory, I saw him again. He was standing across the courtyard near a bench, but this time, he wasn't looking at me. His camera was pointed at another girl in our class, Jenna. Jenna didn't notice, but I did. He was taking her picture from behind some bushes like no one could see him. That's when it hit me. He wasn't here to take pictures of plants or flowers. He was here like a predator capturing young girls. I couldn't take it anymore. I went straight to the teacher and pointed at the man. Our teacher immediately called security and told them about him. I saw security dragging him out. He was shouting, trying to explain that he hadn't done anything wrong. I was stunned by his audacity to act innocent after doing something so disgusting. We were all told to stay together, and he never came back. Some people thought it wasn't a big deal. Others were really shaken, especially Jenna when she found out the truth. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. That night, as I lay in bed, still a bit rattled, I decided to scroll through Reddit. I follow a lot of photography threads, so I type random search terms for fun. Botanical garden, flowers, photography, stuff like that. I wish I hadn't. One thread caught my attention. It was on a weird subreddit I'd never seen before. It was full of random pictures of girls with small glimpses of them. The title was, "She Smiled at Me." I clicked on it. The first picture was blurry, taken from behind some bushes. It was a picture of me sitting under the wisteria vines holding my camera. The caption read, "She talked to me. I think she's starting to like me." There were more pictures, including one of Jenna from that day. I don't know how he posted them so quickly. I reported the thread and sent screenshots to my teacher. The school contacted the authorities, but since there was no real ID, they couldn't do much. After that, I didn't go out alone with my camera, and I never went back to that garden. For a whole month, I kept checking Reddit to see if there were any updates on that creep. I didn't find any more pictures, though. Even today, the thought that he's still out there, hiding in public places, taking pictures of young girls instead of flowers or plants, makes my skin crawl.